Good morning, Tom. How are you? Let's go ahead and get right into your attic and take a look around. So, your house, as we discussed, is not overly complicated, but it does create some complications or some twists and turns when it comes to attic insulation. So, the first thing that I want you to sort of notice there are the sheets of plywood on the wall to my right and at the floor, as well as all the storage. That area there is a prime candidate for treatment, but I'm going to be honest, you're really going to be better off if you can get all of that storage out of there, and all of the plywood should also be removed so that for all intents and purposes, that area is a blank canvas. Because on a smaller scale, what you're going to see later in the video on the kitchen side is exactly what is going on here on your master bedroom side. Additionally, as we were discussing, uh, insulating above the playroom, the sunroom is going to help with comfort in that area. So over here, I wanted to give you a look at your recess light, which I kind of it's past, but I also found the return duct that we were looking at in the hallway, and that all needs to be covered and sealed from the attic. This portion of the video just looks at the beginning of your sloped ceiling in the sort of living room there. I wanted to make sure that I was just taking a look to see what type of insulation was in that cavity. Here's another look at those recess lights, and as I was saying, you can see how the electrician likely, moved the insulation and sort of pushed it to one side because you can see right down the middle, and this is probably also just through time, you've got sort of a runway there where the insulation is depleted, and as we discussed, that does hurt the overall R value. So here, I wanted to point out to you penetrations such as light fixtures, and I wanted to show you how we treat that. And this is an example of air sealing. This is the foam spray I was explaining, and we're sealing up all cracks and crevices. Ivan is also sealing up a knee wall, which is going to come into play here in the video because you have several of those, as I've already mentioned in the beginning. But you can see what we do, how we plug up those holes. And then this is an example of how we seal around a bath fan. And I know that you were getting communication of warm, humid air through that area as well. So in addition to sealing around it with the foam, I also want to take a moment just to point out what we also discussed, that your fan is venting directly to the gable vent. And what we want to do is we want to see that through the gable wall, as you'll kind of see here, how we're punching through at another customer's house. And then you can see how the damper has a rigid duct that gets inserted through the exterior wall. And then we finish it off with caulk, so everything is sealed, nothing gets in. And then that rigid duct gets connected back to your, either your flex, well, in your case, a flex duct. And we make sure that that run is not swirling and zigzagging. It's going to be a nice, straight, tight run to the wall. And that's for better ventilation. So getting back over to the other side, I sort of, just for convenience, sort of chopped the video up a little bit, but now I want to get over to the area above your kitchen and just focus on that a little bit. That's also going to present us with the wall that's adjacent, or the knee wall in the attic that's adjacent to your son's room. And you can just kind of see here that I'm sort of moseying along and finally make my way over to that opening, which, as I was saying earlier, is just a larger version of how the closet behind your bedroom is set up. So once I get to the area and just kind of dip my head, I just want to show you a couple of interesting things. You can see there where the insulation is fallen in that one spot, and that's just a reference from the inside with a thermal image, and you can just see that, that just creates a hot spot in summer, and it's also going to contribute to that room being a little bit colder in the winter. And then that knee wall adjacent to that living space, that living room, adjacent to the kitchen, you can kind of see, even with the insulation intact, there's still room for that heat to get through. So I want to show you exactly how we treat a knee wall. And this is a house that's similar, has a similar type of a knee wall. And you could see in that other picture the insulation had fallen. And we just make sure the workspace, which is sort of a theme that you're going to hear, is clean. And we want to get in there and seal any large gaps using special techniques. Foam board if it's too large for the foam itself to fill the gap. And all those smaller cracks and crevices, as you'll see, we use that spray foam to uh, hit those spots, and then that foam expands and it seals up those gaps so that air can't pass through. We get to all the spots around the knee wall as well as the attic floor in that general area, and then we cut the insulation to the right size and we insert it into those, bays, if for lack of a better word, those cavities. And then the final step, so that you don't have any infiltration of air behind, is we put that air barrier on. And that does two things. It does keep some of that extra air out, and it also gets that insulation to snug that wall nice and tight, which is important for, performance. You want to have insulation in good contact with any surface. And then I just wanted to get one last look here at the last part here, just a look at a well-insulated attic. And I picked this video because it's sort of a similar setup with the gable wall, and you can just really see how the insulation is, piled up. You really can't see the bottom anywhere. It's very even all the way around. And it's almost, well, in this case, in that house, it's almost touching the gable wall or gable fence. So thanks for watching.